get going here. I'm going to share my screen to get us started. All right, so we are in the membership category here today, and we are really excited to show off some of our new stuff. So first of all, welcome to our August Academy, where there's two sessions left, but we've had a really great week of several hundred people really participating in what we hope will be more regular training programs and network opportunities for local league leaders and members. We want to try to help orient people to their roles, but especially how to use LWVUS and LWVMN resources. We're not trying to change any of your local rules or practices. We just want to make sure you also know how to take advantage of all the other resources being in our wide network are. And of course, we want to really encourage more regular networking among league leaders and answer any questions and provide and seek your feedback today on what we can do to help you in your roles as we go forward. So today in membership, we're going to talk a little bit about training opportunities generally for you all and for members. And then we're going to walk through our magic portal of the online member resources that I've said I want to rename the magic portal so people will go there where all our great things lie. And then we're going to walk through the handbook. We won't get through all of it, but it's actually all online for you now. So everything we're showing you today is already online and available to you. So we're really just kind of trying to walk through and deep dive and help you know where to find membership resources. So first of all, training. This was certainly a result of feedback from convention and also our member survey. We had almost 300 people respond. And certainly the number one thing is we need to know more stuff and we want to talk to more people. So we have designed 3 training opportunities. This one is August Academy. Again, all of our trainings will be on Zoom, but they will also be taped for people to watch them in the future as needed. And then we really thought of this August time, in a lot of ways, we're kicking off an election season about this point. We have our local elections, of course, but on our even years, we'll have bigger election seasons. And we also thought August was a good time because by now most local leagues have had their annual meetings, so that the leaders are new or fresh. We sometimes do things with convention or council, but people haven't had their meetings yet. And so we're training the outgoing people. So we want to train the incoming people. January Jumpstart is what it sounds. We hope we'll hold another training in January and really want to get ready for those other kind of pivotal things like rosters and annual meetings and financial records, but certainly for advocacy, trying to really work. We'll really have a lot of sessions around advocacy in January. And then we will start this fall our member monthlies. The second Monday of every month, you all get your all member news. If you think, I'm not getting it, well, you are. It's probably stuck in your junk or spam. We've been sending it for about 5 years, but make sure you all are getting that. They also are all linked I think we link almost 18 months of them. I'll show you that on member resources. But we're also going to host an event that evening. Every month, a quick event, just a stop in for members or new members to do a little orientation to the league. So that will be kind of 3 new things we're starting to help you also to get your members and in the right spot and oriented and to help you with your roles. So I've used this picture a lot of Sue and her husband, Mike, and we were great to do we did some outdoor voter registration this summer, but I want to walk through our member resources portal here for you before we get to the handbook. And this is right on our website. So here's our website, lwvmn.org. If you go under local leagues, you'll see member resources. And pretty much 99% of the questions we get are already all answered here. I mean, we like your questions, which is great. Keep them coming. But if you haven't had a chance to really zip through member resources and to remind your members to do it, I really would encourage you to do that. Here we have, it's really alphabetical order, although we put all our COVID guidance on the top, which sadly we've kind of kept here because we still need some of it. But we have our advocacy and action section. All of these are links. All of our information for our advocacy chairs, our capital letters, all the different forms and sign-on letter requests. All of these things are here. If you click on any of these things, these really are virtual handbooks in and of themselves. You'll find your way to good stuff. This is our program planning guide, for example, for those of you working on program. How do I act on an issue? How do I change an issue? How do we do a study? All these kinds of things can be found so nicely in our member handbook. What applications we have, action toolkits. A big thing for you all in membership too is our events. You can submit your own event at any time to be on our state calendar. When you click on this, you will get a simple form that allows you to submit an event and we will get it on our calendar. So at any time you want to get something on our calendar, please do that. Another huge, wonderful form is our league leadership change, our other forms down here under league admin, our league member update form and our league leadership change form. These are very important forms for all of you who are membership chairs or rosters. When all of the members get entered into LWVUS, we don't talk to each other. We get after roster season, we'll get a printout of all of the people that were entered as of the January 30th or 15th or whenever that January date is. But then it's all kind of manual, unless you're part of our mini database project, which Mary Broad's going to champion for us, and hopefully we'll get more people involved in that. But for the moment, if you have membership changes throughout the year, we've made it very easy for you to make those updates right on our website, again, under member updates. So sometimes people will say, well, we have this new member and they're not getting any information. Well, that would be because we don't know that they're there. So please do use that member update form. The same is for league leadership change form. Again, we find this to be a big area where a lot of the leagues have changed their leadership and we don't know. So the presidents, we might have a president say, I'm not getting an invite to the president's call. Well, we only know if we hear about you. So please do really focus on these forms and use those to communicate with us who your folks are so we can really respond to you. And then we'll come back to our handbooks here. But again, there's all kinds of resources that you can kind of scroll through here, including all the links to our all member news and all the great stuff going on our member resources page. So what we're going to spend most of our time, are there any questions so far before I go to the member handbook itself? I know there's a lot here, and the good news is you can all, grab your glass of wine and look through it later too. So there's a lot here. All right, so I'm gonna hit the ground here with our league member handbook. So this is brand new. And what's really awesome about our league member handbook being online is it's now everything we know and have as resources can be easily linked and put and kept current on our site. We have 3 sections. It's who we are, what we do, and how we do it. How we do it is really a lot about how you as membership chairs and local league leaders manage your local league. And Sue's going to take us through that. She has worked so hard pulling together old manuals and all kinds of things. And that's the sad thing about a handbook or manual, right? As soon as you print it out, it's out of date. Well, no longer, because everything that's here is we're able to keep new and keep fresh. And so the first 2 sections, part 1 and part 2, are really for all members. And so this is a great way for orienting new members to have them really click through and learn all about the league. So an example, you just click on a chapter And we've really done a lot of work too to make sure that everything on our pages is current with LWVUS. So while Sue will show you some of the LWVUS resources, we've tried to make all the basic stuff applicable to day-to-day league, try to funnel through all that LWVUS information into our handbook you're seeing here today. But this is great for the purpose, mission, vision, value statement. And what you'll see on these pages is our links. We'll have more links. And so what's nice about an electronic book, right, is we can add all kinds of resources and additional information to the end of that. Now, one of the things people were really worried about in the beginning, well, plus you can also like, oh, where am I? I can go back to the table of contents very easily. And one of the things people were worried about is, well, what if people really do want some things on paper? What if we want to print some things out? And so we actually have a special software that allows us to make these pages look really nice when printed as well. So I'm going to show you, I hit print and here they are. So you can print them out if you really need some paper, or you want to, you can save them as PDFs if you want, like you do with printing. The other thing you can do is copy and paste. It copy and pastes really easily. So if you want to make, up some other little, special something for somebody on your team, you still can do that, right? So, but this way, you know that when you're accessing this information, it's going to be current, because then we can keep current with our policies. So an example would be, we talk about bylaws, right? So now you can click on your bylaws. Well, we just had bylaws changes with our convention. What that would mean is we'd have to update our entire handbook again, right? Now it's all there. You can see as adopted, the last adopted was 2021. So using this electronic handbook really allows us to stay current, which is so exciting. Okay. Now, so you'll see who we are, then we have what we do. And the what we do is really just a list of, it's great, all the actions we do, how we, what kind of leagues we have. As you know, this one explains, the one I just clicked through explained the difference between national, state, and local action. But I'm really happy about chapters like this because, again, in this case, what do? We empower voters, and we want our members to know the basics of voter service and all of the great things we're doing. But previously, we had a lot of outdated stuff about how we do that in our handbooks. Well, now we can just link, for example, to our voter service handbook, which is also now completely online. All of this information was previously in Google folders as individual documents, and now it's all here and available for any member at any time. So we're kind of a little proud of ourselves here, just to be clear on that. So going back to our member handbook then, lots and lots of information that you can use for any member that you could link to. Somebody said to me, which I thought was a great idea, one kind of good idea, even with members, is every month highlight a new section. Say we're going to go through and we're going to get through the handbook this year, and just highlight a new section at every meeting so that people would be able to really get in there and learn more about it. Okay, so now we're going to get to the more detailed section, which was certainly the hardest, and luckily Sue was willing to take it on, which is the how we do it. So all those great pieces of information of how to run your local leagues and do your job as membership chairs. And so I'm going to stop sharing so Sue can start sharing hers and walk through that section. While she's doing that, does anybody else have any questions so far? It's a lot here, I know.
I think it's all great.
Good. Yeah, there's a lot here, I know, but the nice thing is it's there When you can't sleep at night, you could go log on. And, there's just so many options now to learn about League. And so we're excited about that.
Okay, are you seeing it now? You are, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Oopsie, get it. Oh, you don't see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so
Is
here we
everybody
go.
else seeing it? Yeah. Okay.
Everyone seeing everything? Hands up. Okay, fabulous. Okay, great. I am so excited to share all of this with you guys. And my hope of doing this and the whole concept behind this handbook is to have a really easy, quick, easy to use reference guide that will give you all the basics, but then also if you want to dive deeper into a specific topic or question, hopefully regardless of the time of day, instead of trying to call the office and reach out to somebody that's not available, you'll be able to find your answer here. I'm saying that, I'm sure we did miss something. And so if you ever do run into an instance that you're looking for something and can't find it, or would like something to be further elaborated on, please let us know. We are welcome to have this constantly evolving and changing and getting better every year. This handbook is a culmination of so many people's work over years and years and years at all levels of League. We have pulled in some local League things. I have used a lot of the reference materials from handbooks from local or from former state board membership chairs that did just fantastic jobs putting together the handbooks and making them relevant. So all of you who out there or know somebody out there who provided the foundation, I'm just so grateful for all of them and the great place that they started me off from. So basically I just organized and did a little searching. So we have 10 chapters in this section. I wanted to be sure that each section was titled so that it was fairly obvious for you as to what the content will be. I'm not going to cover all the sections today, but I will do, I'm planning on 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7, because I think they're most relevant to you as membership leaders. And again, I don't remember if Michelle mentioned this or not, but all of these will be taped and recorded so you can access the presentation at a later date. If you're missing something or you want to rehear something, we will have this up on the website. So if we start with chapter 1, it's really studying the basics of League. And so understanding the levels of League organization. And we have, we started with a description of the state member at large. For people who are not aware that we have state members, it kind of gives a really good presentation as to what and how a state member can be involved, and what the difference between a state member at large, a member at large state unit, and then the local leagues, which you are. And then we've also included in here the 2 interleague organizations that we have available, the Council of Metropolitan Area Leagues and the Upper Mississippi River region as well. And again, we click on this to get more information about the Council of Metropolitan Area Leagues, and it gives everything you need to know. So it gives you an overview, what the current study is, timelines, contact information, and how you can get involved in these projects and pass this information on to your league members. So it's really great that way. I also want to make sure that you are aware of the update. So every time we make an update or have a policy change or something's different in the handbook, and say you've printed something out, you want to make sure what you printed out before you disperse it, is to check this last updated date down here in the lower right. So every time we redo something, we will update that date so you know that you're always getting the most relevant and current contact information. Okay, so that's chapter 1. Chapter 2, I'm not going to cover because that's all the basics about forming a LWVMN state unit. So it goes from the very beginning of contacting people, getting a group of like-minded group together, and all the steps to do that. And since none of you are in that position, but if you're curious, if you have communities that are close by that maybe you have members coming to and they're thinking about that they might like to start a satellite unit and they're just going to your meetings because you're the closest they have. You'd be able to have them turn to this as a way to get some ideas of how to start their own league. Chapter 3 is creating a local league structure that reflects your membership. And really what this is all about is creating your board and what the responsibilities of your board and board members are, and different ways that you can format your board to meet the needs of your membership. Now, some of you have very large local leagues and have 50, 100, 150, and then some of you are very small and only have 10 to 20 members. And so this kind of gives a basic outlines of the bare minimum things that you should be doing as a board and what your responsibilities are. So we have the different responsibilities for each person. And then we also did a section on board leadership job descriptions. Again, these are bare minimum. So the wonderful thing about league is you can take these bare things and shape them and mold them how they work best for you and for your league. And then another thing I want to talk about a little bit is you'll notice here under president, we have president, convener, spokesperson. A lot of people find that term president very off-putting and sounds scary and big and something that really is difficult to fill. And so feel free to use different words to fulfill these different positions with your local league. If it makes it more friendly and it makes it more approachable for your individual members, by all means, rename it, retitle it however you need. The one thing to keep in mind is though, when you go to fill out your league leadership form online, you need to translate those for us into the given categories that you saw in that form earlier. So finance, chair, secretary, and president is how it's going to read. Even though you've named somebody convener, when you fill out our form for the state, you need to refer to it as president. And the most important thing about your president is you at all times need to have one person to speak for and to contact for your league. If you do a shared model for leadership, you can rotate that. You just need to update the form with the state and give that new information. So further on, other positions beyond the most required, which is president, finance, chair, and secretary, strongly suggested for a solid board would be membership development, voter service, and advocacy. And then you can take these positions and you can really structure it in a multitude of ways that works for your league. So you can do the traditional board model, which is vice president, president, secretary, etc. Or you could do a shared presidency model, which has 2 or 3 people that would share the presidency. And then the rest of the board may follow the traditional model. Or you could do a team management support model, where you've got a group of 3 or 4 people who are sharing all the responsibilities and working as a team. So there's a lot of great stuff here. This is kind of a little bit of a condensation of the member leadership development handbook. And I'll show you later where you can get a link to this, and it really expands on some of these topics further. And then we have just some basic guidelines for local leagues on, just things to keep in mind and to remind yourself of how to be the best that you can be through organization, prioritizing and delegating, communicating. And then also something to consider is if you're not yet doing a board orientation, I think that this tool that we've created, the handbook, will make it really easy for you, for the seasoned members of a board, to bring on the new members and go through this with them and cover the most basic things that you need to be a successful board. Okay, next we're going to talk about chapter 4. And this is really a continuation of Miriam Simmons' fabulous running efficient league meetings that she did last fall or pre-fall. I guess it was before COVID. And so many people were just, new to league and new to nonprofit and how to run a meeting and all of the lingo. And it can be very off-putting and scary. And so she put together these great little presentations, and we've added them into our handbook here. And it's really it's best practices on how to run a board meeting, down to the point of your order of business. So you start with your call to order, then you have your minutes. So everything is here. For the people who just don't know where to start and find it a little scary, just use this basic outline and it'll really help you through things. And then we also have all the words that people like me that prior to joining the board and being on my local board had no idea what all these things were, and so we have a little table of contents with all the definitions, and I think they do a really great job of explaining all the different points of view that you need to take for speaking as well as voting. And then we talk a little bit about the annual business meeting and election of officers, what the purpose of your annual meeting are, and a little checklist to get prepared for it, topics to discover at the meeting, and then after the meeting, some ideas on how to follow up with your membership. The local league planning calendar is also down here with suggestions on how you can incorporate the state calendar with your local league calendar. It's really important to have something to distribute to all your members. They know they can mark you on the calendar and make attending league events a priority.
The new one. We got the new one.
Yeah, look at this. This was new, just in the last 24 hours, hot off the press. So we'll click on here. And we can see the planning schedule for 2021 through July 2022. So everything that the state is doing is on this fabulous reference piece.
And ideas for local leagues too. So what we think is usually in the local league. It used to be, as Kay Erickson would call, the president's calendar. And so it's got a lot of great stuff for you.
Yeah, and what's really nice here too is that it has the state planning meetings of when the state things happen. So it'll help you plan your local league meetings so that you can participate in both, and people don't have to choose. But yeah, it's great. We've got our August academies, and then we have, suggestions for you to do as a local league. Registering voters, sending your payment to LWV US for PMP. So a lot of these things would be a really great springboard for you to create your own calendar. So that's exciting. See, it's evolved in just 24 hours, August 11th, 2021. Okay. So chapter 5, I am not going to go through so much. That is establishing local league guidelines and requirements. I'll click on it so you can see what's in here. It's bylaws, articles, amending bylaws, how to become part of our 501c3, and financial. So this is more your treasury type of information, but it is also board relevant, and that's why it is in our handbook. Chapter 6. Whoops, wrong part. Okay, chapter 6 is understanding member eligibility, payments, and dues. This now, the very first part is taken from the bylaws because everything that we do in the state is regarding the first two bylaws are reflected of US policy. So right now, as it stands, anybody who is 16 years or older can be a member of LWVMN and US. And then there are exceptions for your dues, which I'm pretty sure you're mostly aware of, but 50-year members are honorary members for life, so they are excused from their dues. But don't forget about those people. They are fabulous resources. They are very dedicated to league, and they would probably be more than happy to continue to pay their dues and use them as a scholarship for maybe a reduced membership fee within your league. So keep those people in mind at all times. And then a little thing I want to talk about too is our definition of the student rate. So we have our per member payments, and you know that it's a given rate for US, and then there's also a given rate for PMP for Minnesota. And then you would calculate what your portion would be based on what your individual needs of your local league are. And regarding the student PMP, I want to talk about that a little bit because this is new. The US changed the definition of a student to be defined as an individual who is enrolled either in full or part-time at an accredited institution. Now, there's no expectations by anybody that you have to get proof of this. Clearly, you're going to take your people's word for it. But that is the definition of a student. And we ask that when you're sending in your PMP rates, several leagues are kind of lumping in their students with their low income or reduced payment, pay as you go, or scholarship people. And we really need those to be separated out. If like the US waived the student PMP, so we would waive that portion for them, but they will not be waiving your scholarship or your pay-as-you-go people. So it's really important that you separate them out when you send in your PMP. Okay, and then there's just more things about PMPs, billing, and tax deductible and guidelines. And here, I mean, we could go on and on about this, right? There's a direct link, which is really fabulous, to the US that really goes into an in-depth explanation of everything per member payment. So that is really wonderful. And then we have the little part about the roster manager, what your individual responsibilities as roster manager is. There is a link to log into the portal, which I believe is under, yeah, it is. It's under construction right now for the US, but we will get, as soon as that is back up, we'll get that in there. And again, here's another link to this roster manager portal. The updates, your roster updates, the form that Michelle showed you earlier is right here. And you can go ahead and fill that in. And then I'm just going to quickly show you the leadership changes one more time. Oh, wait a minute. Huh, okay, well, that one did not go there, but I do want to show it to you anyways, real quick here. Just to reiterate, yeah, this is just to reiterate, you know, where I was mentioning earlier, if you have a spokesperson convener, when you fill this form, it's going to say president, vice president, treasury. So I just wanted to reiterate that.
Sue, I have a question on this, on the students.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so do students have to pay anything to LWV Minnesota?
I think Michelle can speak to that. As of right now, I believe that yeah, Michelle's going to have to talk to that. Right. I can tell you that the US, there's nothing. They had sunsetted that at the beginning of 2021, and we need to check in to see if they are renewing that.
Yeah, so that's something on our finance committee, Susan, we can put on there, but the point was still well made, that if we want to be able to possibly offer a waiver of those rates, we really need those separated. And that was the biggest problem the last time. Mm-hmm. So we'll update you once we talk with the board about where we're at with student PMP. But it's still good to have those as a separate category.
Okay.
Okay, and so then the last chapter that I'm going to just briefly go through is recruiting, engaging, and retaining members. And basically, this is just ideas on how to make your members feel welcome, how to engage them, some suggestions on things to do, like creating a welcome packet, perhaps having a new member orientation. And that's something that Minneapolis started doing. We've had 2 of them now. They do them quarterly, and it's really fun. So they have their board come on, and then any new members can join in the Zoom meeting, and they get an opportunity to meet the board members. They get an opportunity to meet each other via Zoom and see the other new people who have joined. And it really helps them get engaged and to find out about voter service. So many people join to be involved in voter service. And it gives them a face and a number to connect to so that they can contact them and get more involved. So we really strongly encourage you to do a new member orientation for all your members. And maybe even some of your older members to renew some things like the speak with one voice policy, the member code of conduct, some of the newer things that have been the DEI, that maybe even some of the older members may not be up to speed on the newest changes that we've made. Somebody yesterday said, you got to pick a better word than orientation. People get scared from that. So we used to call them meet and greets in South Tonka. But however, it's just basically most of the things are just to give you some ideas and as a starting point to springboard for things that will work for you locally. Another thing that is really successful that a lot of the leagues talked about in yesterday's meeting is people are starting to use this new member mentor and ambassador committee, especially during COVID times, so that they can really do one-on-one conversations and get to know people. And most people are doing good old-fashioned phone calls. So that was, I'm glad to see that people are doing that. These are really just some great ideas to keep your membership engaged. And clearly, the more you engage your members, the quicker they're going to renew, and you don't have to worry as much about a membership renewal and retention plan. But it is a reality of what we have. And so what we've done here is to just give you some basic ideas to develop a membership renewal plan so that you're not scrambling at the last minute. Maybe send out to your members 60 days prior to renewal. Plant the seed so that they're ready at your annual meeting to write that check or to go online and rejoin. And then also for the people who you don't hear from, make sure you develop a follow-up plan. The personal ask is still the best way to get people involved in league and to keep them involved. And then the last thing is, following up, reconnecting and leveraging your inactive members. So much has changed with people's status and time, especially with COVID. There's, a lot of people who were just overwhelmed and had so much on their plate. Maybe things have opened up for them now. Maybe some of your working members are now retired or are taking a leave of absence. So make sure you find a way to keep those names, keep their contact information, and try to actively engage them. Then the last thing on this page, here is the link to the MLD handbook. And is membership, leadership, and development. And this handbook was done by LWV US. And a lot of you may have participated. I know when I was at South Tonka, I was part of MLD. And basically, it was a way to build leadership and to build all the skills of your members and of your leaders. And they have the entire table of contents is here, along with the chapters. These are PDF files. So if you click on them, we'll click on one. You'll see that it's a PDF. So you can't alter this, but you can print them. But there's a lot of great in-depth. I mean, each section has 10 to 12 pages. So it's a lot of the things that we have in our handbook. This will really go more and more in depth. I would say the only negative is sometimes it's a little bit difficult to understand what's in each of these chapters. But as you have time, if you're bored, yeah, like Michelle says, grab a glass of wine and peruse through it. There's a lot of great information there. Okay, and then back to our table of contents. The last 3 chapters, which I'm not going to talk about, Kristen did a communications plan seminar. And then there's the member and community education meetings, basically on how to organize, plan for, and to execute a meeting. A lot of checklists, a lot of step-by-steps. And then a little part on planning, engaging members and voter service. And again, these are really broad sweeps. And then we have our new fabulous voter service handbook. So at some time that might even replace that little chunk. So that is everything that I have to share. And we are open now for any questions or comments or things you would like to see that maybe weren't in there.
If you want to stop your sharing, Sue, then we can see each other and people can
Yeah.
raise hands. And so that's a lot of information. Rita, your hand is up.
One question I have for you, Sue, if you could just elaborate just a little bit more on your new member orientation or whatever you're going to call it. I got down the Zoom. You do it twice a year. About how long? And
Well,
I understand that it involves the board. And then I've got a second question after that.
yeah, so it's actually, I am on part of the membership team for LWV Minneapolis, but I don't actually execute it. So it's something new that we've been trying. We've been doing it quarterly.
Quarterly.
Yeah. And so we've done 2 of them and they've gone over really, really well. I would say they probably have a 25 to 30% show rate. Minneapolis has a lot of turnover. And so that's a good number of people to show up. And basically they have the board of directors on there and they each introduce themselves and do a little blurb about what they do. And then each of the new members, and usually, like I said, it's usually around 6 to 10, they just introduce themselves, say something about why they joined League, which is really helpful because then the board members that are listening can think of who they want to slot them in with, and what they're hoping to get out of League. So it works really well. Yesterday, there was some question about timing and things like that. We did a similar, I always did meet and greets when I was in South Tonka. Now, how I did it was whenever I got 4 to 6 new members while they were fresh, I would gather them all together and do an orientation. So I wouldn't get too hung up on, we have to do one every quarter. Membership seems to ebb and flow. And when you have that influx of membership, that's when I would do your orientation. And I would try to do it within a month of when your big influx is, because people are more apt to attend to a meet and greet or whatever you want to call it right after they join because they're excited. The longer you extend that, the less enthusiasm is going to be there.
Okay, thank you. And then I have a second question. This might be for you, Michelle, or one of you. Going back to this, we always get hung up on this or have a problem with this, the dues structure. So we created like a 1-page guide, I should say, and we've got our national, state, and our local, the amount for each category. But I see now we do need to break down that student and other. We have not been doing that. But the second piece of that I need to add, because I've got that on a separate little 3x5 card, is a timeline. So for example, I've got down January 31st have accurate list of active members. Is that okay?
Right. So, yeah, so the roster, manager, so there is more detail to the roster thing, I think, in the member handbook too, in terms of, the timing. So there's really one big time, which we need to have everything entered, all new members entered into the portal at LWVUS by, it'll be the end, it's the end of January. There's a day, it's usually, I mean, we say by January 31st, but it's usually more like by January, it's whatever a Friday is or something like that. But approximately by the end of January 31st, people need to enter their members for the year through, and it's that membership that you enter in January, that's your official status now that we use for delegate counts and for PMPs. So a lot of times, unfortunately, a lot of times what happens is sometimes people will hold their members, right, and not put them into our system, and take their money and hang on to them until they do that January roster. But imagine if you have somebody who comes on as a new member in October, if they're not entered into our Minnesota system using that member update, they're not going to get any communication from us. And so they kind of wonder what happened, right? And so that's a big challenge for us with membership, is to remember that when you are, the year is that the cyclical year is everything needs to be entered sort of formally by the end of January in the LWVUS roster portal. And then what we do is we print that out. They'll send us a print by sometime mid-February, and we sadly, but we need to officially go one by one through what is now 2,300 members to see who stayed and who didn't. And it's a big thing. Now I'm gonna also give a shout out to this task, because also on our Zoom meeting now is Lorene Dickert. And wave your hand, Lorene. Lorene is our new administrative assistant who really starts next week, but she's learning about the league this week. This will be one of Lorene's first time. Because we've just never gotten around to it. It's a big task to go through and make sure, that all the active members are in there, because that is the key to getting action alerts and capital letter and your all member news. And so, but it also is one reason why that member update form is so important throughout the year to keep that current. So now Mary Broad, who's also on our call today, Mary is actually is working with, there's Mary, and there are a few leagues who are doing what we call our mini database project, which is tying you directly into our data bank system, which is not really, rocket science, right, Mary? It's really, there are things that need to happen, but we really kind of hope to create a movement here, because if that were to happen, then we really will have real in-time membership and people being able to pay online and everything all the time, which, is a dream come true, but we're starting slow. So
Michelle, if we're already entering in, you're talking about the data bank, correct?
Yeah, so the data bank. Now, Roseville, I think you guys are getting into, you're already sort of playing in the.
We're using that. So if we're using that, our data is up to date.
Current, yep.
Okay, so then the invoice from the state comes mid-February roughly.
Yep.
And then that payment is due March 31st, correct?
For the 5% discount, and everybody does it, so yay.
And then June 30th, the payment is due to national, correct?
Right.
Okay, that's what I.
Yeah. So it's and national, I think you can do quarterly payment plans. I don't know if that's the thing, but so yeah, that's the regular rhythm of the roster.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, though. I think that's something we could definitely slip in to that section for roster management, just a little timeline.
Yeah.
And it's a great idea, Rita.
It's on the calendar. It is on the leader calendar, all those dates.
Oh,
I
okay.
think that's a good idea to just put it. It's a pretty static set of dates. So
yeah.
What is nice about having one piece like that is that it always seemed like at a board meeting, some board member would ask.
Yeah.
It would take us a day to go through the stuff to remember what it was.
We really, on that league leader calendar, which is both in the membership handbook, but also just linked under league admin on the website under member resources, is all of those dates, key dates, when the financial reports are due, also when our elections happen, when early voting starts, when voter registration ends. And so that calendar is really helpful for all of those things to remind yourself and your leaders and all the people about, oh, that's right. We've got primaries here. We've got, we try to look ahead. We're going to have, when we'll have presidential primary again in a couple of years. I mean, it's hard to, these years go by so quickly. So yeah, anyway, good question. Any other, membership questions, membership handbook, things you've seen today, or is there something you've just been looking for your whole life and you still
Not
don't
there.
know where to find it?
Hopefully not.
It's called Stump the Membership People. I mean, we are trying very hard to unbundle anything that's a piece of paper. I mean, as an example, we are really paperless at the office now. We only have what is required to be stored by record retention. So everything we have, I mean, with some exceptions, like maybe my desk, but I didn't say that. But there are certainly some exceptions, but all of our main things are filed appropriately. And then we try to get everything that's outwardly focused onto our website immediately. So, but again, if you guys see things, if you're like, just like the suggestion today, Rita, was wonderful. Like, hey, what if we just put a quick little chart of all those things? We can just give Kristen, hey, here's the 5 updates, and then she can do it. Each week we could put new updates in. So I think those are the types of things we'd love to hear from you, rather than be frustrated. If you're like, I can't find something, let us know. We'll find it, or we'll create it and pop it in. It was just always hard to do, and we had these paper books, right? So
I was going to say too, if there's something that your league is doing that is really successful, so say maybe you've come up with a really great board model that works wonderful for you, send it to us, because I mean, all of those things can be expanded on. That's the great thing about league, is it's so fluid, it can adjust to your local league needs. But if you've got something that you're doing that you think would be helpful for other leagues to know, I'm sure we can find a spot to slot it in, or to do a link to it. So yeah, share your successes, share the things that work for you on how you engage your members, or activities you do, or how you reconnect with inactive members. All those ideas and resources are really great.
So again, thank you so much for taking time on an absolutely gorgeous day. I wish it were raining, right, when we have to do these things. But also look for a survey in your email next week. It will be a link to all the things we've talked about today, so that if you're like, wait, where is this? I don't remember. We'll have a link both to the recording. If you want to share this recording, maybe your membership chair or somebody in your league would really value this. You can share that with them. Note also that your survey will provide an opt-out if you do not want your contact information shared with other local league leaders. We really want to share just names, email addresses, and phone numbers with fellow league leaders, only to help with ongoing networking. So we've had a lot of requests like, could I get maybe I'm a membership chair. Could I find out the membership chairs, the other membership chairs, the other treasurers, the other presidents, so that you can better network? And I think that's a really great idea. And so to the extent that we will certainly allow people to opt out if you don't want us, and that was the only reason we would share it, is so that you all can better network with each other.
Can I say something?
Yeah. Go for it, Patricia.
Well, I've been in league a long time and in different places, but I just want to say, including, not that I do this very often, please don't think that, but in contacting someone at the state level or at DC level, I have always been extremely pleased with the response I have gotten, from league members in general.
Oh, good.
Well, that's great to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that, Patricia. There's a lot going on, right? And today was a big day, right? All our census stuff was announced, and redistricting is in full swing. And we had the primary. Caroline Nord is on our call here today. They had their big election on Tuesday, a difference of 1 vote in that election. So, it's always a busy time, and we do our best to try to keep information and work flowing. And we appreciate all the work you guys are doing in the field, and keep letting us know what you need to be successful out there. All right, everybody, have a fabulous evening. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.